A very good evening to you. And welcome along to another Sweet and Swing here on Max Radio. My name's Howard Kane. As always, as we head into December, a pleasure to have your company. What have we got? How about the Andrews Sisters? Not heard from them for a while. More from Mavis Rivers. A bit of Bud Freeman. But you know what? We are actually into December now. So we better have a little bit of Christmas here and there. Good way as any to get going, I think, for this Friday evening. Why not? You recognise it, I assume. The Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies. Tchaikovsky. Given a bit of a treatment there by one Larry Clinton. We hadn't heard much Larry Clinton on the show of late. Fine band leader in his own right, though. An American musician, of course. Best known perhaps as a trumpeter and arranger. And had some great jazz and pop standards, the Dipsy Doodle in the 30s, My Reverie, Heart and Soul, and also composed, if you know it, Satan Takes a Holiday, Midnight in the Madhouse, and Calypso Melody. Became a prolific arranger in his 20s when he would work for the likes of Tommy Dorsey or Jimmy Dorsey, Dorsey Brothers, Glenn Gray, Louis Armstrong, Bunny Berrigan, worked with some of the best, and his first stint as a band leader was from the late 30s, just before the war, 37 through to 41, and recorded a string of hits for RCA Victor. And the repertoire was sort of a mixture, really. Some pop tunes of the day, I Double Dare You, dee 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 dee, things like that, Deep Purple, and some instrumentals like Satan Takes a Holiday, recorded by Tommy Dorsey as well. And as you've heard there, he quite liked doing swing adaptations of classical compositions. Swinging classics, I suppose you'd call them, Debussy or Tchaikovsky, and he did an arrangement of Debussy's Reverie with vocalist B. Wayne, which was a great hit as well. His first record to record and release the standard, or he was the first, I should say, to record and released Heart and Soul with BUN on vocals in 1939, which reached number 1. Also appeared on film. If you've got a really good memory, I must admit I don't remember that much at all. But appear on film he did on more than one occasion. I think that he was seen on the old celluloid. He played in hotels and in ballrooms and college proms and, well, you name it, all over the place. He did remarkably well for what was a relatively short career. I think he died in the mid-1980s, so he would be in his 70s, but did have his own show for a while, the Larry Clinton Show on NBC. And if anyone has ever seen that, well, it's top marks to you, is all I can say. How are we all anyway? Getting ready for Christmas? Possibly. Getting ready to sort of... It's not so much white Christmas these days normally, isn't it? It's usually mild Christmas, which means it's going to be either very wet or very windy, or both. In this case, usually both, it has to be said. We shall battle on. Stiff upper lips and all that. We'll get there in the end. At least I think we will. I don't mind nice, cold, still weather, as long as it's not actually snowing. So, a few frosty days here and there. But I am told, by very good authority, that next week is looking fairly dry. So, we live in hope. Give you a chance to get out and, tidy the garden up and maybe do a bit of Christmas shopping. Who knows? Charlie Kunz, we haven't had for a while. This is what we need, sunshine. You are my sunshine. You're always my sunshine, Charlie. And the good sudden ending, bump, and he's gone. Charlie Kunz with his inimitable style Well, that was imitated, I suppose, to be absolutely fair, but he knew he was on to a good thing at the time. And as Tony Watts remarks in the liner notes, if there had been charts of best-selling records in the 30s and 40s rather than just listings of sheet music, the name of Charlie Kunz would have been an almost perennial feature on them. The 100 or so piano melodies he recorded, mainly comprising the hit tunes of the day, played in a very distinctive way, sold in such quantities they would nearly all have been candidates for the number one spot. And he goes on to say, Charlie knew a good formula when he found one. The system of featuring 6 songs on each 78 discs, so in other words, a medley of 3 songs, one on each side, proved something of a winner. And his soft, loud, or vice versa method of playing had enormous appeal that kept him at the top of the tree in the UK musically for some 25 years. Not British, of course, born in Allentown, Pennsylvania at the back end of the 19th century, and was something of a child prodigy, made his first public appearance at the age of 7. And then during the Second War, he spent the First War in a munitions factory, but on the Second War he went on quite a few tours entertaining the troops, and became so sort of good at this and well known for keeping morale up that he actually ended up being a target for Nazi propaganda. I kid you not, you wouldn't think so, would you? But I suppose his name, Kunz, K-U-N-Z, would be an automatic target to suggest that he was sort of linked in with the Nazi regime. Goebbels put it about that Kunz was really a German, he wasn't, and that he'd left Britain to fight with Wehrmacht soldiers on the Russian front. And this despite the fact that he continued to broadcast on a regular basis in the United Kingdom. So maybe people weren't quite as stupid as Goebbels thought they were. And perhaps the most outlandish story, which emanated from the Ministry of Misinformation in Berlin, was that Charlie had been passing on covert Morse code messages during his playing on the radio and had been imprisoned in the Tower of London as a traitor. Yes, it's amazing. I mean, we think of sort of, false news being something of a modern phenomenon, which it is, and certainly not helped by the ease at which it can be spread around these days via the web. But nothing new under the sun. False news. Charlie Kunz was not passing on covert Morse code messages, nor was he imprisoned in the Tower of London. The British public, happily, were less gullible than the Germans, and the stories ended up being treated largely as a joke. Just as well, it would have to be said. Plenty of good stuff coming up this evening. Maybe something more Christmassy again. We'll throw in another Christmas one, and then in a couple of weeks' time we'll do a full-on Christmas on the Sweet and Swing. What do you reckon? I think that'd be nice, wouldn't it, to have a full-on Christmassy one on the 19th, I think it will be, of December, which is close enough to Christmas for all Christmassy tunes, I think. That will do us nicely. In the meantime, got a bit of Bud Freeman lined up for you. Haven't had any Bud for a wee while. One of the few musicians on this show I did actually know rather well, it has to be said. Here he is anyway, Chicago and all that jazz, Bud Freeman and Logan Square.
To Chicago, hoping to find you there. Yeah, now I came to Chicago, searched all over Logan Square. Now I guess I'm looking for a gal who isn't there. Yeah. Now I came up the St. Lawrence Seaway trying to find my bride. Yeah, now I came up the St. Lawrence Seaway. I've been traveling far and wide. Now I've been searching all over. Lord knows how I tried. Yeah, right. Now I walk down State Street looking for good news. And I walk back up Wabash, wore out both my shoes. And now, my baby, I'm singing old Jimmy's blues. Oh, Jimmy.
Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Blue birds singing a song, nothing but blue birds from now on. Never saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right, noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my how they fly. Blue days, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on. saw the sun shining so bright, never saw things going so right. Noticing the days hurrying by, when you're in love, my how they fly. Bluebirds, all of them gone, nothing but blue skies from now on.
Very nice too. Maxine Sullivan. Blue Sky. We could do a few more of those, couldn't we? Blue skies. Or at least still skies. There have been a few blue skies, to be absolutely fair, but there's been an awful lot of grey ones and just too much wind and rain. So we'll thank Maxine for thinking of blue skies, and hopefully they might start to head this way. Next week, maybe. Next week, some blue skies would be nice. Before that, Logan Square with Bud Freeman and pals from the album Chicago and all that jazz. And it was one of those reunion albums, I think, where they'd all played together, quite a few of them. Not all of them, because some of them died, but some of them were played together in the late 20s, and then they got back together again in the 60s to record this album, Chicago, and all that jazz, after doing an NBC television show, I believe. They'd all hailed from Chicago, I think. Eddie Condon, guitar, Bud on tenor, of course, Bob Haggett from the world's greatest jazz band on bass, Gene Krupa drums, Jimmy McPartland trumpet, Pee Wee Russell clarinet, Joe Sullivan piano, Jack Teagarden trombone, and I think contributing the vocals there, unless I'm very much mistaken. And also Lil Armstrong and Blossom Seeley featuring on the album as well. Bud Freeman, well, great character. Like I said, I did get to know him quite well. Died in 1991, which is slightly terrifying because that's like 30-something, 91, yeah, too long ago. Would you believe? And yes, yeah, I can remember he did stay at our house numerous occasions. I still have the 50p, and the famous Bud coat is lurking somewhere in the attic. Mustn't lose that. It has to be said. What a character he was. And if you ever see his little books of anecdotes dotted round in a remainder bookshop, pick one up. It's, I wouldn't call it a heavy read, but it's quite an amusing read, it has to be said. You get the flavour of Bud from it, at the very least. Swinging the Swing, it's H with you through until the top of the hour. Don't forget, of course, that Jumping In will be here next week, and I think we're looking back at this year's London Jazz Festival as best we can. A couple of interviews for you, and some great music, it has to be said. Weather was a bit iffy here and there, but there was some good stuff. Never did get to see, sadly, Billy Cobham, but that's the way it goes sometimes. You win some, you lose some, but we picked up and saw some wonderful younger jazz artists coming through instead of Billy Cobb in this particular case. So rather than seeing one of the elder statesmen, we saw some of the new statesmen and stateswomen coming up through the musical colleges. Where are we heading now? Well, I thought we could have a little bit more Christmas. I said I'd sprinkle a little bit of Christmas and then full-on Christmas in a couple of weeks' time. So, for now, how about a man we have featured before on Sweet and Swing, but not for a long time. Used to be all over the place when I was a kid at one stage. One of those entertainers on steroids, as it were. A man with a white piano, an even whiter suit, usually bedecked with sparkles and sequins and diamonds and God knows what else. Lots of rings, epaulets perhaps on his shoulders, and almost certainly a candelabra on the piano. Of course, Liberace. Well, that's pretty effective, I think. The Little Drummer Boy. Given a reading there, and a remarkably simple reading by Liberace. Bearing in mind how sort of florid and over-the-top he could be, because he was such a sort of consummate showman, and that's what it was all about, that actually seems, it's almost like he sort of pared everything back to the minimum, and came up with a little gem in many ways, rather a nice version of Little Drummer Boy. You're probably familiar with the version with, is it Bing Crosby and Bowie, wasn't it? David Bowie. I never remember how his name's pronounced, but that was another unusual combination and surprisingly effective, with Bing doing the rum-pa-bum-bum and David singing the verse. And then they swapped over, I think, didn't they? But yeah, it was on a TV show that I seem to recall many moons ago. Not a couple you would put together necessarily, would you? But strangely enough, it worked. And as for Liberace, well, I do remember watching him as a child. Always way over the top, fantastically camp. I often used to think, and I'd ask my dad, is he the best piano player in the world, Dad? Because I think that was the way he was billed. And Dad, no mean piano player himself, would very tactfully say, no, probably not, son, but he's a very, very good showman. Which he was, and he could play the piano. He probably just wasn't the best piano player in the world, but however you might judge that. Is that the biggest audience, the most technically proficient, the fastest? I don't know. How would you say, who is the best piano player in the world? But a question I distinctly remember asking Dad, because I think that was the way Liberace was billed back in the day. I don't know whether Mavis Rivers was ever called the best singer in the world, but she's one of those undersung heroes. Did very well in that time, but does anyone remember her now? No, of course they don't. Or very, very few do, unless you're a Mavis Rivers specialist. But she certainly had a good voice.
Life begins when somebody's eyes look into your own. Life begins when you get your man all alone. From morning until twilight, I don't know I'm alive, but I know love begins at 8:45. The stars are gonna twinkle and shine this evening about 8:45. My loving arms are gonna tenderly twine around you around 8:45. I know I won't be late, 'cause at 8:30 I'm gonna hurry there. I'll be waiting where the lane begins, waiting for you on needles and pins, and then the world is gonna be mine this evening about 8:45.
told you she had a good voice. She did have a good voice. Rounded, rich, very tuneful, and yeah, what's not to like, as they say. Very nice indeed. A Samoan and New Zealand jazz singer she was. Well, like I said, if you remember it, well done if you did, because I must admit, it's not a name that jumps to me, and it wasn't until our friends at Avid Jazz sent me 4 classic albums of Mavis that really I started sort of reading a bit about her. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, she certainly had some great fame in her time, but as we know, it's a very fickle thing from this show. And so born in Samoa, as I say, and was one of, wait for it, 13 children. 13, oh my lord. Born to a musical family, moved to the States in the early, mid-50s, 1954, I think it was. Married a Filipino singer who revelled in the name of Reyes David Cantagub. Cantagub, yeah, it is Cantagub. A Filipino singer and a bass player, and they had 2 sons. And then she had a very successful life and did some albums with her husband as well. My Mummy and Me, your friendly neighbourhood big band, high-tech big band, I'm Getting Cement All Over You. That's a great name for it. I don't know if that's a track or an album, but it's a great name either way. I'm Getting Cement All Over You. I'd love to find out quite why that was called that. Who knows? What we just heard, of course, is About 9:15 from the album Mavis Rivers Takes a Number. I'll keep that one in the bag. I enjoyed dipping into that one. I found this one when I was mooching around before, looking for something else entirely, and I thought, gosh, I haven't heard this for a wee while. Oscar Peterson Trio, live. And what about a waltz? Yeah, why not? Something you can, again, go and get your slippers on. You probably won't be going out again. It'll be too wet and windy in any case. And we'll have a waltz for Debbie. Why not? You couldn't beat him at his best, it has to be said. Oscar Peterson on fine form there with his trio and his version of Bill Evans's Waltz for Debbie. Now, you can tell it's live because you can hear the audience there. I can tell you it's definitely the Oscar Peterson trio. Beyond that, I can't tell you a great deal because breathe not a word of it abroad. But it would appear to be a counterfeit CD that the old maestro had someone copy for him. So they've copied the CD and copied the cover picture to tell us that it's the Oscar Peterson trio like Someone in Love and the track listings, but nothing else. So I'm hazarding a guess. I don't know where it might be, somewhere in the States, and I'm hazarding a guess that it's Ed Thigpen on drums and Ray Brown at the bass, I would guess. Yeah, and everything else. They didn't bother doing that. It wasn't very useful, was it? Honestly. Just can't trust these bootleggers these days. Still good music, though, in any case. Chances are he's got the real album there on vinyl, or did have in any case, before it disappeared off to pastures new, as they say. There were just too many albums to keep, I'm afraid. Kept what I could, but there's only so much space and so much time, isn't there? I promised you some Andrew Sisters, speaking of so much time. If I don't bring them to you soon, they won't be here. Maybe we'll get some in a couple of weeks' time as well, in any case. Lots of great tracks, really, I could have gone from. Let a Smile Be Your Umbrella, or maybe Lullaby of Broadway. That's a classic one, isn't it? The Yodeling Ghost. But what about this one? Toolie Oolie Doolie.
When a fella meets a girl in Switzerland, there's a certain thing he's gotta do. He can never take her by the hand till he learns to toolie-oolie-doo. When a Swiss boy goes calling on a Swiss miss in June, toolie-oolie-doolie-doo, he sings this pretty tune, and he charms her like magic when he yodels this tune. Toolie-oolie-doolie-doo, beneath the alpine moon, the echo goes higher and higher, and soon their hearts are both on fire. When you get lonely, now you know what to do. Toolie-oolie-doolie-doo, and make your dreams come true. The echo goes higher, and higher, and higher, and soon their hearts are both on fire. When you get lonely, now you know what to do. Toolie-oolie-doolie-doo, and make your dreams come true. Toolie-oolie-doolie-doo, and make your dreams come true.
Can you remember their names? The Andrews Sisters, Patty, Laverne, and Maxine. They had the lot here. It was just the job, really. They were right place, right time, and all the rest of it. They had a job to do through the Second World War, and that job was to keep the British Tommies' morale as high as they could. And I think they were rather good at that in any case. Lovely music there, great harmonies. Of course, they were very good looking. They're glamorous, clean, lovely, fresh voices, lush harmonies. Staying positive, looking positive all the time. Not an easy thing to do in the face of constant adversity, it has to be said. I'm bad enough if, I get a flat tire on the car, it could be the end of the world. So, yes, I think they deserve more credit than perhaps they were given. We'll keep that. Yeah, I might play a bit more of them in a couple of weeks. Haven't played the Andrews Sisters for quite some time. Tell you what I'm going for now, though, something, I think quite a few people sitting around Manx Radio. You get to this time of the year, don't you? You're running into Christmas. Everyone's super busy and sort of looking forward to maybe seeing friends or family, or maybe going away, Christmas shopping, making the pudding, maybe sending cards, I don't know, etc., etc. Whatever your Christmas might be, people are usually busy one way or another. And then, of course, everyone gets a cold. The dreaded Christmas, pre-Christmas, post-Christmas, during Christmas cold bug, chest bug, throat bug, whatever it might be. And I tell you what, it's as good as anything to try and sort it out. Oh, Toddy. Just what you need. Always catches me at that last verse, or that last chord. Whack! It's still just what you need, though. Sorry, Ted. Honestly, spoiled your ending there, didn't I? Hot Toddy, of course. Ted Heath and his orchestra. Just what you need if you've been suffering. I've been suffering a bit of late. I'm hoping it's on the way out, but God, blimey, I've taken a long time to clear. Still rattling around like a 20-a-day man on the chest. Sounds terrible at times. Fingers crossed, I'll have another fisherman's friend. We'll squeeze in a bit more music. The music just goes round and round and round. You know how it is.
on, gal.
Play something for me.
Oh, I don't know how to play nothing.
Well, I'll show you now. Before you blow through here, the music goes down and around. Whoa, ho, 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 when it comes out here. Now push the first valve down. The music goes down and around. Whoa, ho, 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 when it comes out here. Now push the middle valve down. Hear that music go down and around. Below, below, deal it ho, ho, ho. Listen to the jazz come out. Push that other valve down. Hear the music go down and around. Whoa, ho, 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 when it comes out here. Hey, Tommy, what's he got there?
Why, that's a clarinet, Edith.
What's he doing with it?
He's trying to show you how the music goes around and around.
Oh, he can't show me how the music goes around and around on a straight instrument.
Ouch. Kick it, Sid. Kick it.
Boy, he can kick it for my money.
And now, Grandma. How about a touch of that sauce, son?
Boy, that's sliding and not kicking it.
And now we're going to put on a customer's chorus, and we want you all to join in lightly on this last refrain.
Oh, I blow through here, the music goes round and around, whoa, ho, 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 and it comes up here. Now you push the first valve down, the music goes down and around, whoa, ho, 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 and it comes up here. Now push that middle valve down, hear the music go down and around, below, 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 whoa, ho, 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 listen to the jazz come out. Push that other valve down. All the music goes round and around. Whoa, ho, 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 and it comes up here. My.
My. Edith Wright. Actually billed as Edith White on the CD, incorrectly, I think, singing with Tommy Dorsey. Definitely Tommy Dorsey. And I think it was Edith Wright. A fine-looking woman, a good vocalist, sang with them for 3 or 4 years, and then, I don't know, didn't do that much after that, I don't really think. Unless you know otherwise. Howard Kane at maxradio.com if you do. Love to hear from you. Meantime, some Christmas music in 2 weeks' time, and jumping in next week. Cheerio.
Ba, ba, ba.